Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Shad, and today we are here with a very positive Nuggets video for y'all today. It's been a minute since I've uploaded not only just a video in general, but something positive about the Nuggets this season. I figured it's about high time since we're starting the new year. We're gonna come in fresh, we're gonna come in with a new look, and we're gonna talk about what's been working for the Denver Nuggets over these past 15-ish games or so. I'm gonna break this video down as we typically do. We're gonna talk about what has been working for the offense, what has been working in our clutch defensive situations, some of the hope that we have for the second unit, things of that nature. So like, subscribe, let's get into it. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about how our offense has been clicking lately and how that dooms the rest of the league. So I'm going to use the parameter of the last 15 games for the Nuggets when I'm talking about the offense, just to kind of filter out the slow start to the year and just give you guys, I think, a little bit more accurate of a look of how the team has been looking lately. Over our last 15 games, we've had a record of 10-5 with some pretty impressive wins against the Trailblazers, against the Grizzlies, against the Celtics, against the Kings. We've been top 5 in points per game. We've been top 5 in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and assists per game, which I believe we are first in the league in the past 15 games. We've really just looked like the Nuggets of old, with Aaron Gordon getting better, with Jamal Murray kind of going back into his old form as well, MPJ filling in that ancillary supplementary type of role for this team now. Everything is starting to click. We're seeing it on both sides, the other side that we will talk about in a little bit. But for the offense, it's all being engineered, of course, by Nikola Jokic, who is having his best season, ironically, after winning 2 straight MVPs, which is insane to think about. I don't need to read off the stats. You'll see it on the screen now. The man is going insane, and we have a lot to thank him for in terms of being the engine for this offense, in terms of maestroing and using all of the weapons around him to their full extent. We've seen players like Bruce Brown start to have really good years. We've seen AG obviously having a career year. KCP is shooting a career high percentage from 3. There's a lot going on positively for the Nuggets offensively, which isn't really a surprise because even during the preseason, we were kind of expecting this type of performance. We knew that we would be a top 5 offense. We knew that we would be a really good shooting team. We knew this part of the game was going to come together for us. And back to the point about Jamal Murray, because we're still trying to get our second option back in shape, because while I do believe Aaron Gordon has been our second best player of the year, Jamal Murray is probably still our second option when it comes to offense. The fact that he has been able to come back while still a little bit inconsistent and sometimes throwing away some games with some poor shot selection. He's had a pair of 30-point games over this last 15-game stretch. He's had a stretch where he scored 25 points plus in 3 straight games. You see the consistency coming back. You see him shooting well from 3, and he's also adding the facilitating factor that he really needs to in order to impact the game when he can't score as high as he needs to. Kind of pivoting a little bit away from the individual players, I want to go over to the Celtics game that we had on New Year's Day. It was a very impressive win. It was a battle of the 1 seeds at the time. It was a battle of the first and second rated offenses in the league at the moment. It was a good game. Celtics made some mistakes. Nuggets were able to capitalize. And what I really want to talk about with this game was the lethality of our offense in this context. So I think that game we shot 57, 89 splits as a team. I think we made 17 threes. It was kind of crazy. Our offense was clicking. And the problem with the Celtics, what they were trying to do, they were settling for a lot of threes. They were trying to stay in the game from behind the line. And if your threes aren't falling against the Nuggets, you're going to fall behind very quickly, because while we don't have the highest 3-point volume, we have the highest, or at least one of the highest, efficiencies when it comes to our 3-point making. For example, over the last 15 games, we have attempted the least amount of threes per game at 29 3-points attempted. But on the flip side of that, we have also been shooting 39% from the 3-point line over this last 15-game stretch, which is good for 4th in this span. So you see the issue here. If teams are playing at anything less than a regular performance or anything slightly higher than that, it's really hard for teams to keep up with us. We saw this issue with the Celtics. Again, they were relying on the three, they weren't falling, and then they just found themselves kind of falling behind as the game kept on going. We did shoot abnormally this game, obviously. We're not going to shoot 57% from the field and from three every single game, but it's not as out of character as it would be for other teams because our identity is being efficient shooters. And we just amplified that with this game. I kind of want to transition away from the offensive side because we obviously know what the Nuggets are on that end. I want to talk about the defense because I think while we are still a relatively poor defensive team overall, there is a one very specific key strength that we have on defense. That's our clutch defense. So before we get into the strengths of our clutch defense, I want to talk about just a little bit of the overall defense that we have and the fact that we are still ranked in the bottom 5. I think we are 26th right now in defensive rating. We still have issues closing out to the three-point line. Our interior defense is still weak. Our effort for 48 minutes and our focus for 48 minutes still isn't there. There are still a lot of issues, a lot of tiny issues that we can really fill and fix that would improve our defense. But as of right now, we haven't fixed a lot of those problems. Granted, there has been some improvement because we were hovering around like 28th, 29th, or like 27th place for a lot of the year. Moved up a couple spots. So that's a little bit of something, I guess. I do, like I said, want to focus on the positives for the Nuggets. So we are going to talk about the clutch time. According to defensive rating, we have the 3rd best clutch defense in the league. For a lot of the year, it was number 1. It's an 18-game sample size now. We've been in a lot of close games. Too many for my comfort, I would say, and I think a lot of Nuggets fans would say as well. The good thing is that we have a really solid record in these clutch games, and that is because our focus and our effort just gets kicked up a notch. It becomes sort of like a playoff atmosphere. I consider myself an analytical mind. I like talking about basketball, obviously. I like breaking it down to its X's and O's and to its finest details. Trying to find a reason why our clutch defense is so goddamn good compared to our regular defense is hurting me because the only reason I can find is the fact that they actually try. Schematically, the only thing we really change is sometimes throwing in a full court press. I believe we did that against the Suns on Christmas Day, and I believe we've done it a few times this year. I want to say we did it against the Trailblazers as well. But outside of that, I mean, everyone's energy just seems to kick up. I think we make a lot of high momentum plays in clutch time, obviously because of the nature of the game at that point. It's a close game, a lot on the line now. Every player is really locked in. It's annoying knowing what we could do if we just fully locked in defensively for a full 48. We could be something like this. We see the plays from KCP when he is on ball, running around screens, chasing his guy and reconnecting, playing some really good defense, getting poke steals, getting on-ball steals, making the right rotations when we're talking about the full team, talking about three-point rotations that for the rest of the game prior to that weren't as sharp, but when we get down to the clutch time, everyone's making the pre-rotation. Everyone knows where their man is, and it seems like the communication gets kicked up a lot. And even when offenses or opposing offenses are scoring a lot in the clutch, those buckets are a lot harder. And I want to talk about a couple of these games because this has been a topic I've wanted to make a video on for a while now. I have a couple plays here from the Suns game on Christmas that I really wanted to highlight and break down because I felt like they were a good representation of our clutch defense theme over the entire season. Right here, after a miss, we get a really timely steal after we crowd DeAndre Ayton, and I think this is the type of intensity that we need to be bringing for the entire game, but something that is really showcased in clutch time. This next play right here, Mikal Bridges gets into the post against Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray does a really good job of using that low center of gravity, making sure it's a really hard shot and getting a really good contest on him, which then, of course, leads into the Aaron Gordon alley-oop from KCP. It is a beautiful play that, again, this is what we've been looking for all season long. We need to make the strong plays in the clutch that lead to easy offense. This game against the Suns is perfect because we entered clutch time down by 8. I believe the score was 106-98 in favor of the Suns. We had to get stops, and we needed our offense to overpower everything that the Suns were doing. Our defense kicked it up, forced a lot of bad shots, forced some turnovers, and our offense was not making any mistakes as they were capitalizing on each and every single one of those mistakes that the Suns were making. And again, right here, we can look at this Chris Paul snake dribble here. KCP staying attached to him really well and then staying with the ball and then getting an easy poke steal off of DeAndre Ayton, which once again is going to lead to some easy offense for the Suns, or for the Nuggets rather, and Jamal Murray hits that three, making it a 1-point game. And this next play, I think I want to talk about MPJ a little bit later, but this play is going to end up in a block for MPJ off of the Chris Paul mid-range. This play in particular, it shows that hidden value that MPJ has. So he adds that 6'10 length and wingspan to our defense that we need desperately when it comes to adding to our rotations, when it comes to contesting at the rim. MPJ's archetype and body type is exactly what we're looking for on the defensive end. And he has plays like this recently where he's showcasing what that value could be. I'm just glad that there are some glimmers of hope when it comes to his defense, especially when it comes to close games. And then again, we see here the Nuggets did a really good job of guarding the pick and roll in the clutch and in overtime of this Suns game. Right here, just crowding DeAndre Ayton, making sure they have really active hands and making sure that he can't just bring that ball into a comfortable position in the post against Jokic, because that might be 2 easy points that they give up. And this play right here is just a terrific saving block from Aaron Gordon that would have tied the game up, but instead leads to another Nuggets possession because of the intense focus and because of the sheer athletic and defensive talent that AG brings to this team. Again, just he himself is having an all-star caliber year, both ends of the floor. He's making a great impact, seeing it on the defensive side as well. So now to round out this video, I kind of want to pivot over to our second unit, because it has been a talking point for a couple of seasons now, and it is something that we have touched on several times on the channel. We're going to touch on it again because I want to talk about Bones Hyland. Bones is in a very interesting spot because he is a sophomore player with a lot of ball handling responsibilities for an entire second unit that does not have another really reliable shot creator. We have good passers. We have players that can score in certain situations. We have players that can shoot. We're missing an extra ball handler, an extra creator to pair alongside Bones in the second unit. Throughout the year, we have experimented with staggering certain starters with Bones. We've seen a lot of Bones x MPJ minutes. Recently, we've been seeing a lot of Jamal Murray and Bones minutes in the backcourt. In the Celtics game, we saw Bones running a lot with AG, because that game, obviously, there was no Jamal, but usually AG is out there running with Jokic and the rest of the starters. You can see the improvements in how the second unit rotations are being maneuvered, because we are identifying what our weaknesses are when it comes to that. Our big play and our shot creating play when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Our offense can get a little bit stagnant when it comes to just Bones having to play hero ball, because our offense just, everyone sticks around, which kind of sucks at times, and it gets a little bit hard to watch. But again, Bones is working with, I think, fewer options of what you would want a ball handler to be working with. And I think he gets a lot of that blame, when part of the blame comes down to second unit construction pretty much. In the Celtics game, I do want to, again, I'm giving my props to Bones right now, and 17-4 against the Celtics in only 19 minutes off the bench. That was a really good game. He also had 18 points and 6 boards against the Timberwolves. He's been having a really good stretch of games after going through that really bad cold streak earlier, a couple weeks ago. Christian Braun in his minutes has been looking pretty solid as well, still continuing to build his defensive prowess, and just running those game reps, I think, has been really good. Zeke Naji has been pretty damn good in that backup center role. We have shifted away from giving DeAndre Jordan a lot of minutes as we run into these other lineups with a lot of small ball centers. And in the game, I keep referencing the Celtics game because it was a really good win for us. In that game against the Celtics, obviously we know that their center is 6'8" Robert Williams. We can kind of match that size with Zeke Naji, though we are losing obviously the talent battle and a little bit of the rebounding battle and the interior defense battle. We are able to run smaller because of certain matchups. And Zeke Naji is, I think, making a lot of his minutes that he's been getting recently and is working his way into a permanent spot in our rotation. I know we still talk a lot about needing to bolster the bench and adding another piece or two to it, but what it is right now and the improvements that they've been showing were kind of reflected in that Celtics game once again when they were able to go on a 12-2 run without Jokic on the floor. We talk about it a lot. What are the Jokic-less minutes going to look like for the Nuggets? Because that's kind of how we're going to win a championship. Jokic cannot play 48 minutes a night. We were able to extend a lead that we had on the Celtics without Jokic on the floor. We ran a second unit of Bones, Christian Braun, Vlatko, AG, and Zeke Naji. And if you look at the makeup of this second unit, you have Bones, your shot creator. You have AG, who can work as a pseudo secondary shot creator. He's been getting a lot better. There are still some problems with it when it comes to ball handling and shot creation and stuff like that. But there is something there, and there's a good foundation to work with, and it's good enough for him to be the secondary. But the theme of this is the small ball switchable lineups. So Zeke Naji, while not being the strongest defender, is able to switch out to the perimeter at times and is able to play at the rim at times. That gives us a lot more flexibility, being able to play him alongside AG, who can also do the same thing, except to a little bit of a higher level. And then Vlatko, tall, lanky wing, 6'7", good wingspan. He can shoot the ball as well. And then we know what CB brings to the table. That's the type of experimenting that we've needed to see with the second unit. We need to be able to see how we're going to plug up those weaknesses. Because we have such a good starting five, there is a lot of versatility that we can work with there. Does Jamal and Bones work together well? Does AG and Bones work together better? Does MPJ and Bones work together even better? We're still experimenting. We're figuring things out. But right now, the second unit is showing a lot of glimmers of hope and is giving me a lot of hope as well. Just a lot of improvements that they're making that I'm really impressed with. All right, I have been recording for 25 minutes. My voice is almost gone. I need to drink some water. I don't know why I don't have water when I record these videos, but just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a positive video, because there has been a lot of good things to talk about with the Nuggets. We are having a good year. Obviously, we are the 1 seed in the Western Conference by half a game. We've been playing really good basketball recently. We've got the good wins. Jokic is on another MVP tour. Not really much else to ask for at the moment besides fixing some of the glaring weaknesses. But that's a different video. Until the next one, thank you very much for watching. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.